Hey there, everyone. Welcome back to yet another episode of Confronting Evil. Ready to hit the road with Seth and Mackenzie? If so, then you didn't get the memo. Tonight, we follow a pair as cut out for hunting monsters as a butter knife, but they always get the job done. Well, usually. Settle in for an exciting road trip you may not have expected. It's time for Confronting Evil.
Hey, Dixie-Jo, how you been?
Huck spoke into his cell phone.
Oh, is that right? Oh, what? I might be able to help you with that. Right. Uh-huh. I'll be right there in just a few hours. Don't you worry. I'll talk to you then, cousin. You have a good one and stay safe,
Huck said, before hanging up his phone. He was going to give Seth and Mackenzie a call, but then he remembered that they were on a case out of state, giving him no choice but to seek help from Cash. So, as soon as he hung up with one cousin, he called another.
Hey, Sue, how you doing, cuz?
Huck asked as soon as he answered.
Come on, Eugene, you know the name's Cash.
He replied with a bit of a groggy grumble.
Are you just waking up? It's 1:30 in the afternoon, you somnolent slug.
Huck blurted out.
What?
Cash said, a bit taken back by the word his cousin used to describe his stupor.
Get out of bed and get over here. We have a case,
Huckleberry demanded.
I don't know about that. Remember what happened last time? With the crazy cat lady and the monkey paw? I need a vacation after that shit.
Cash argued.
We hunt monsters. This isn't a fancy smancy desk job. We don't get vacations. So get your lily liver keystering gear and get over here before I call Seth and Mackenzie up and tell them that you're still technically married to that cat lady.
Huck threatened.
You would. That there was one of their wishes. I had no choice. It wasn't real. In fact, it was about as real as your diploma. I'm not really married to her. I didn't sign any papers.
Cash rambled.
I was there. I was a witness. And you said, I do.
Huck argued as a matter of factly.
Alright, fine. I'll be over in 20 minutes.
Cash growled before hanging up to go meet his cousin for yet another life-threatening mission. An hour later, and they were all on their way to their cousin Dixie-Jo's home in Maryland.
So, what are we dealing with exactly?
Cash asked from the passenger seat of the RV.
Well, Dixie-Jo called me. Remember her? Cletus and Rhonda Lynn's mama?
Huck began.
Of course I remember. How could I forget that dimwit Cletus wrecked my pickup into a manure truck?
Cash replied.
Totaled it, and it smelled like shit.
He added.
Anyway, she said her and a couple friends of hers spotted a lizard man down there, and
Huck began to explain, but was interrupted by Cash.
Oh, you mean like a were-lizard, son? I heard a story about a lizard man down in the Carolinas, I think it was, while I was visiting Chester.
Cash explained, adding in a history he had heard from a gas drilling worker from down south.
Could be, but the way she explained it was weird. She said the thing's head was caved in like a bowl filled with water,
Huck said, scrunching up his face with confusion.
So, it's a lizard with soup brains?
Cash asked, causing Huck to glare at him like he was an idiot.
I don't know what it is. Maybe Seth could shed some light on this conundrum,
Huck replied before reaching into his pocket to retrieve his phone, whereupon he gave Seth a call. Seth and Mackenzie were cruising down the road in the Torino, suits on to assume their roles as Agent Thompson and Kruger of the FBI, when Seth's phone began blaring anime music.
You should change that. If I never hear that again, it will be too soon.
Mackenzie growled.
It's Huck.
Seth said before answering.
Hey, Uncle Huck. How's it going?
He asked cheerfully.
Me and Cash are on our way to our cousin's place because she saw...
Huck began, but was interrupted by Seth.
Cousins? How many cousins do you have?
Seth asked, now having heard of around a half dozen different relatives of Huck.
There's a lot of us. Now, if you'd let me continue.
Huck said, a bit aggravated by people repeatedly interrupting him.
Anyway, she saw a lizard man, and she said the thing had a caved-in head.
Huck explained, before Cash piped up and interrupted him again.
Like a bowl of soup.
He blurted out from the passenger seat of the RV, causing Huck to sigh in disgust.
A lizard with a bowl in its head. That sounds like a Kappa, but that's a Japanese creature. What's it doing in America?
Seth explained with a question.
A Kappa?
Huck asked.
Yeah, they're a Japanese river monster that keeps waters from their home in their bowl-shaped head. If it spills out, they will die.
Seth explained.
So it is like brain soup. See? Told you, cuz.
Cash said.
Quiet.
Huck growled at his cousin.
People used to believe that a person's soul was inside their stomach, and a Kappa would try and steal a person's soul.
Seth said, but was again interrupted by Cash.
Does he like rip it out of a Temple of Doom style?
He asked.
Not exactly.
Seth replied.
Then how?
Cash questioned.
Well...
Seth said, not sure how to say it. He just looked up awkwardly at his sister before she figured it out.
It steals their souls out their butts?
Mackenzie shouted from the driver's seat of the Torino.
Glad I'm not on that case.
She added, before returning her attention to the road ahead.
Hey, it what? No, it steals their souls through their...
Cash said, as he began to think about the logistics of it, mimicking a motion of pushing his hand upward through his other hand before stopping and shaking his head.
No, I don't want that. Nope, no, thank you.
He said, kind of wide-eyed.
Any other tips?
Huck asked.
They like cucumbers?
Seth suggested.
Why cucumbers?
Asked Cash.
Cucumbers? That's weird.
Mackenzie added.
I don't know. Mythology can be strange sometimes.
Seth answered with a shrug.
Well, thanks for the help, Seth. We'll be seeing you soon.
Huck thanked Seth and ended the call before pulling into town where his cousin Dixie-Jo had seen the lizard man.
Hey, Huckleberry.
Dixie-Jo said as the RV pulled into her driveway.
Look, it's Cousin Huck.
She continued, pointing them out to her husband and adult children that lived with her in her trailer. The woman had ragged hair, missing teeth, and appeared to be wearing an oversized shirt on over shorts, giving the appearance of a shirt being worn as a skirt.
Hey there, Dixie-Jo. It's good to see you. I brought Sue along to help out,
Huck said, getting a look from Cash that screamed, "What the fuck?" Hey, Cash! A younger guy spoke up from beside his mother.
Hey, Cletus.
Cash grumbled. Sorry about your truck, Cletus said, prompting Cash to suppress his anger the best he could, raising his hand in the air, kind of pointing at his cousin Cletus.
Huck, we still have that monkey paw.
Cash growled, wanting so badly to wish for Cletus to be covered in shit, just like his truck was.
So where do you and your friends see this thing?
Huck said, changing the subject and defusing the situation.
Oh, I'll show you, Huck. It was right over here by the railroad tracks out by here.
Dixie-Jo answered, guiding her cousins along to the place where she had seen the lizard man.
It was right over here. It ran across the tracks and off into the woods. It was green and funny looking. It had like a bowl in its head filled with...
Dixie-Jo began, but was interrupted by Cash.
Brains.
Cash blurted out.
Damn it, Cash.
Huck scolded his cousin.
Yeah, I guess it was kind of like a bowl of soup.
Dixie-Jo agreed, causing Huck to cover his eyes in disbelief that he was related to these people.
Come on, Sue. Let's go check it out.
Huck sighed.
Damn it, Huck.
Cash growled before following after his cousin. The two of them climbed the hill and crossed the railroad tracks to begin searching around local wildlife trails to find some sort of trail to follow, and sure enough, there in the mud, just within the forest, were footprints, webbed, clawed footprints. The cousins followed the trail for about a quarter mile before the tracks just stopped, vanishing right in the middle of the path.
The hell? Where'd he go?
Cash asked in confusion. Shh, Huck said, spotting something in the forest, little bits of movement, as if several oddly shaped shadows were peeking out from behind the trees. Then, suddenly, from out of nowhere, they heard a yelling from above them, followed by an oddly shaped tree branch being flung from a tree. But when the branch came crashing down upon Cash, it was quickly discovered that it was not a tree branch at all, but instead he was hit with an umbrella, an old paper umbrella that came down punching and kicking at the intruders. A giant eye glared at them, and a giant mouth yelled as it attacked. Cash let out an equally loud scream as the creature attacked him, followed by several other odd beasts coming out of the woodwork. A man in a robe jumped out from behind a tree, but when Huck spotted him, it was quickly discovered that instead of a human head, this thing had a stringed instrument upon its shoulders, like a lute with eyes and a mouth. Then came two other strange humanoid figures, but they were misshapen, one with a small torso upon elongated legs, while the other had an equally small torso, but instead walked around on extremely long arms. Then, up from the forest floor, came an odd, ragged cushion, like a torn, padded mattress that wrapped itself around Huck and began to constrict around him, squeezing him tightly. A giant, nasty, smelly foot stomped down onto Cash's screaming face, causing him to vomit with disgust. It did shut him up for a moment, but his terrified screams ensued once more when a faceless man in a business suit, stripped down to nothing, presented his posterior and opened up to reveal a giant, blinking eyeball within. Huck was attempting to fight off the menacing futon when he was approached by a beautiful woman with dark hair. For a moment, he felt at ease by her presence, but that feeling rapidly diminished when the woman spun around to reveal a large, fanged mouth inside the back of her head, drooling and ready to feast. Huck managed to pull out his trusty sawed-off shotgun and was about to let the monsters have it when everything was interrupted by shouting.
Wait, stop. We come in peace.
A kind of hissing voice yelled out in an attempt to stop the commotion. Everyone and everything froze mid-action. The umbrella creature was being swung like a club by the bois monster. The woman, with a mouth in her head, was ready to take a bite out of Huck. The giant foot was nearly forcing its way into Cash's mouth, and a bunch of them were scared and fighting for their lives.
We don't want to hurt anyone. We just want to go home.
The voice spoke again, and Huck looked down to find a 4-foot-tall creature looking back up at him. It had a beaked face and big round eyes that looked up at him pleadingly. Its head was hollowed out and caved in where some water sloshed about inside.
Well, what in the tarnation are you doing here?
Huck asked in bewilderment, still half wrapped up in the ripped, sentient futon mattress.
Do you mind letting me go? You smell like piss, no offense,
he added. The futon jumped backwards and put its corners against its interior as if it were letting out a shocked gasp.
We don't know. We don't even know where here is,
the Kappa replied.
You're in America, Maryland to be more specific, and wait, you speak English? No, wait, scratch that. You can speak?
Huck exclaimed, now realizing that he was talking to a sentient, humanoid lizard.
Yeah. Your language is permeated everywhere. Don't look surprised.
The Kappa replied.
Fair point.
Huck said before looking over to Cash.
'Cause I do believe this is a new one, and for once, I'm at a loss for words.
He spoke to his cousin, completely amazed by what he was seeing and communicating with.
Hold up, you guys didn't see a weirdo with one eye, one red eye, did you?
Cash asked them.
No. Only guys I know with one eye are Steve and Joe.
The Kappa explained.
Steve and Joe?
Huck asked, but was answered by a faceless man waving at them.
That's Joe. I'm Steve. It's nice to meet ya.
The one-eyed umbrella spoke, offering a hand for Huck to shake.
Nice to meet you.
Huck greeted the umbrella and shook its hand, not knowing really how to react.
No. This guy has two eyes. Just only one of them is red. Never mind.
Cash began to correct them, but figured it was more trouble than it was worth. And he knew the man with one red eye wasn't responsible for this one.
Wait, so, hold up. You ain't gonna try and steal my soul out of my butt, right? 'Cause please don't do that.
Cash then asked with concern, clenching the entire time.
What? Gracious, no. That's a dreadful rumor that's gone on for far too long. We don't steal people's souls out of their hind quarters.
The Kappa replied in disgust.
Wait, you don't? Phew.
Heavens, no.
The Kappa replied.
We drown them and it comes out naturally.
He then added with a bit of a smile.
Oh, okay.
Cash said with a new concern.
Let me call up Seth again. He knows more about this stuff than me.
Huck said, waving a hand and gesturing to the group of Japanese monsters.
It's Huck again.
Seth said, with a bit of surprise before answering the phone.
Hey, Huck. You guys find that Kappa you were looking for?
He asked as he answered the phone.
Yep, and a whole mess of other Japanese creatures, and they're all quite a lovely bunch to say the least.
Huck began.
There's a bunch of them. A Kappa, a guy with a guitar for a head, a lady with a mouth in her back of her head, a giant foot for Christ's sake. Oh, then there's, and I shit you not, a living mattress. Thing tried to kill me like a fluffy anaconda.
Huck started to rant.
Whoa. Slow down. What?
Seth said.
Did I just hear him say something about an anaconda mattress?
Mackenzie asked.
Has he been dipping into his old stash again?
She questioned.
There's a bunch of monsters from Japan and Maryland. And Seth, believe me when I tell you, I ain't never seen nothing like this. And I've seen some shit, Seth. I've seen some shit.
There are yokai in Maryland?
Seth asked.
Yeah, I guess.
Huck replied, not knowing exactly what Seth was talking about. Seth then turned around to look at the trickster with one blue eye.
Look at me. I've been here with you the whole time.
The blue-eyed man spoke.
Well, my best guess is a displacement spell. Or someone brought them there. Either way, someone else put them there. Find the one that did it and you can send them all back, but they all have to be together to go back together. Unless the caster sends them back on their own free will, but that never happens.
Seth explained.
Right. I was afraid you'd say that. I guess we gotta find the one that did this and send them all back. Thanks, Seth.
He reluctantly said.
Good luck with all that, Uncle Huck. I'll send you the spell you need in the PDF.
Seth wished him well.
And watch out for stole-stealing butt thieves.
Mackenzie added before the call ended.
Alright, Seth thinks it's a displacement spell that brought y'all here. We just have to find the one that cast it and we can send y'all back together.
Huck explained to the group of creatures.
Together?
asked the Kappa.
Are there more of you?
Huck asked.
Well, there's Frank. We don't like Frank.
The Kappa explained, bringing about a bunch of hisses, howls, and curses at the mention of his name.
Where's Frank?
Huck asked, almost dreading the thought of what awaited them.
He'll be easy to find.
The Kappa informed them before asking one more question.
Is that a cucumber I smell? Can I have that, please?
The Kappa asked, pointing to Huck's backpack. Huck rolled his eyes a bit and retrieved the Kappa bait from his pocket to give it to the very grateful beast before they went on their way.
He'll be easy to find,
Cash said in mocking disgust as they drove the camper into town, looking for an obvious sign of something out of place.
Couldn't he be a bit more specific? Like, even a description would be nice.
Cash growled.
I don't think we'll have much trouble,
Huck said, feeling a rumbling in the ground.
Man, Huck, the RV really don't sound so good. You should get that checked out.
Cash suggested.
That's not the RV,
Huck said quietly.
It's not? Then what is... Oh.
Cash began, but his question was answered before he could finish it as a large, burning wheel rolled through the streets of the small town. Huck jumped out of the driver's seat and grabbed his sawed-off shotgun on the way out. Cash followed him shortly thereafter. When the two of them exited the RV, they found that this large, burning wheel was more than that. In the center of one side of the wheel was a large, distorted face, a look of agony and rage frozen upon it. The body that belonged to the face was all wound up and bent and broken, stuck within the spokes of the wheel, contorted and misshapen to barely resemble a human body at all anymore.
What the fuck is that?
Cash yelled out.
I think we just met Frank.
Huck replied before attempting to approach the 7-foot-tall wheel.
Hey, Frank, we gotta send you home. The others are waiting for you.
Huck attempted to reason with the beast while Cash simply stood nearby, mouth agape, completely terrified by what he was seeing. The monstrous entity gave one look at Huck and then began to laugh, bellowing flames at him in the process.
Why would I want to go back when there's so many souls here ripe for the taking?
The demonic wheel spoke.
Come on now, let's go,
Huck said, while looking for a place to safely grab a hold of the burning wheel. The man in the wheel let out a roar of anger, then began to roll its way down the street, running, or rather, rolling away from the duo of hunters.
God damn it!
Huck grumbled before he took off running after the beast, getting more of a workout than his beer belly had gotten in ages. Cash eventually snapped out of his trance of terror and joined Huck in the chase, although he was several yards behind. What few people were out that night ran off screaming at the sight of the mangled man in the burning wheel as it rolled over cars, crushing them beneath its weight like a monster truck tire. They chased the wheel into a nearby skate park, where Huck took the opportunity to let off a shotgun blast, causing the wheel to knock off course and spin into a large bowl, where it then rolled around in a circle, attempting to get back out, but instead of gaining speed and transitioning back onto flat ground, it rolled around like a quarter on its end and eventually settled heads up like a turtle on its back, unable to turn himself upright. Huck stopped at the edge of the skate bowl, but Cash didn't stop in time and he almost fell down into the raging flames of the angry demon. Luckily for him, Huck grabbed hold of the back of his shirt and yanked him backwards onto his rear end on the hard cement.
Ow, shit, that hurt.
Cash grumbled.
Would you rather fall into that burning ring of fire?
Huck said before stopping himself and bursting into laughter, realizing what he had just said and who he had just said it to. Cash although it was a joke at the expense of his name, also burst into laughter.
Good one, cuz.
Cash chuckled.
Well, now we just gotta find who brought them all here.
Huck gave a sobering thought that killed the laughing mood.
Easier said than done.
Cash sighed.
Quite the contrary. Easier done than said.
A young girl spoke from nearby. Cash jumped and put his fists up to defend himself, while Huck turned swiftly to find a young girl, perhaps in her late teens or early 20s, clad in a forest green dress, a military green coat covering her torso. She sat upon a bench near to the bowl, her pale red hair almost matching the raging flames of the yokai trapped within the bowl, contrasting against the light tan of her skin tone. Both Huck and Cash hit her with a barrage of questions.
Hold on. One at a time.
The young girl spoke.
You first,
she said, pointing to Huck.
We'll give the orders here. Who are you?
Huck demanded.
My name is Ariadne.
The young woman introduced herself.
Why did you bring them here?
Cash jumped the gun and asked.
I was hired to do a job, and I was just having fun with it.
The girl smiled.
Job?
Huck questioned.
Yeah, I'm what you'd call a...
Ariadne paused for a moment, trying to find the right words to describe her profession.
I'm like a magical hitman. People pay me to use my gifts to do a job for them. Usually it's killing people, but this time it isn't. It's a nice change of pace.
She explained.
So, what's the job?
Huck interrogated further.
A man with one red eye hired me to bring him a hunter.
Ariadne answered honestly.
I ain't going nowhere with you.
Huck growled.
Who said it was you?
Ariadne asked. Before either of them could react, the girl had moved from the bench several feet away to right beside Cash, where she grabbed a hold of him, lifted him up off the ground with inhuman strength and speed. Then, in an instant, they were gone. The fire ceased, and all fell quiet as the darkness rolled in around Huck. He was alone. The yokai were gone. Ariadne was gone. And so was his cousin.
Well, if Huck is in hot water, then Cash is boiling. What will happen to Huck's extended family? And what is the villain's endgame? You won't have to wait long to find out, as Seth and Mackenzie are back on the case when Confronting Evil returns next month.
Social media can be very unpredictable, especially regarding horror content. If this content gets removed, all new content will be simultaneously presented on various websites provided in the description to this video. Make sure to follow me in other digital spaces so that you never miss out on the terror. Also, if you like this video, make sure to leave a comment and hit the like button. It helps the channel a lot. If you're new to the channel and you enjoy what's here, consider hitting that subscribe button and the notification bell so that you never miss an upload. Writing is a dream of mine, and it's all of you that make that dream come true.